Well, hello everyone, and this is kind of a ad hoc, just decided to put together a quick video in relation to the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight last night. Uh, wasn't really thinking that much about it. I knew it was coming up, and I remember watching Mike Tyson back in the 80s and of course in the 90s, all the way, and then I quit watching him after his second defeat to Evander Holyfield. I was never really a super big Mike Tyson fan. I have enjoyed him more as I've encountered him on YouTube or in interviews or what people have said about him or written about him now than I did in the 80s or in the 90s, particularly in the 90s. With that said, with the fight, I thought, okay, I'm 60, he's 58, and I like to think that I can still get out there and do it. But I realize I can't. I think what happens to a lot of us in our minds, we still seem to be kicking fast. Well, in his world, punching fast, and I think I hit the bag hard, and I go and I teach a seminar here and there, and I think, boy, I still have it. But I step back, and when I watch things and I see the pantheon of history of fighting, I know I probably still have it with other 60-year-olds, but I don't have it against 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds. And then you have the ring rust. So not only does he decide to go back in, but it's not like he's fighting all the time, and he's older. So I was texting some of my old karate students and friends who were also watching the fight, and some things I said to two of my friends, Rodney and Leo, is I said, let's make some predictions. And everybody thought Tyson would win, was picking Tyson. And I said this. I said, I'm going to go out on a limb and make the prediction, Tyson round 2. However, if it goes past round 3, Tyson's lost. There's no way Tyson's going to be able to survive that fight. I don't think Paul will knock Tyson out, but he's not going to be able to survive that fight if he doesn't knock him out in round 3. And while speed typically goes as age, power can last a little bit longer than speed, I've noticed. So he has a shot. I thought the bigger gloves were disadvantaged for body shots. They actually will help in head shots. But part of Tyson's attack method is body then head. At least it used to be. So, of course, it's frustrating to watch because Netflix kept buffering, and I'm on talking to, got a friend in Colorado, Texas, a co-worker and just 40 minutes away, and all of us are going through these issues, and we're trying our computers and phones and TVs. And then finally I see the fight, and we're all like telling we're not going to tell who won the fight. And I watched it, and everybody else is probably in bed by now, or if they're watching it. We kind of, at that point, when that fight began, none of us were texting anymore. Plus it was really late. And after that third round, I just knew there's no way Tyson's going to pull this out. And here's some reasons why. One is age. For us who competed, for us who the martial arts, whether it's karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, it really doesn't matter. Age catches up with you. You can't outrun time. You can do things to help mitigate, and that's the word I'm using, mitigate. Like in the safety world, you try to mitigate problems, or in risk management. There are some things you can mitigate. And I've learned that when I have gone out and taught seminars on sparring or kicking. And what you do is you have to be more clever. Let me give you an example. And it's from a comic book, The Dark Knight Returns, written by Frank Miller. Came out in the 80s, a 4-part series. I actually have a leather-bound edition of it. I'm a big Batman fan. And there's this new villain called the Mutant. And Batman comes out of retirement to stop the mutant. And as he comes out of retirement, he gets into a fight with the mutant, and he loses the first time. Pretty badly, he loses. He comes back out after the mutant is finally captured by the police, and they let the mutant out, and he comes back out because he thinks the mutant needs to be defeated in front of all of his people. And he finally defeats him the second time because, as Batman says, the first time I tried to fight him like a young man. And the second time, I fought him like an old man. Essentially, Batman is saying, I'm going to be wiser, smarter, more clever, and a little bit dirtier. And as I've gotten older, that's what I have to do when I go to these seminars and I spar young guys in their 20s. And I still let everybody spar me if they want to when I go out there. And there's always a couple who want to do it. I've learned I have to be more clever. And that is the second problem with Tyson that I want to talk about. Is Tyson knows one way and he's not been able to adapt. Now, I think from 58 to 28, it's amazing he got in the ring in the first place. Because I tell you right now, I'm not going to get in the ring against a 28-year-old who has skill. And I'm not going to get in the ring with Tyson. He can still punch pretty hard. He demonstrated that. But he's still very much a one-way fighter with the inability to adapt. Very few fighters can adapt and be clever or be sneakier. And there are some out there that I've ran into. And as I've gone, I've tried to do that. So a lot of things I used to do when I was in my 20s and 30s, I have modified and I do different things now because I can't do it like I did back then. And so Tyson still had that one way. That's really all he knew. And when it came to Jake Paul's jab and height difference, Tyson didn't know how to get around it because he had not really changed. He had not become sneakier. So one was just age and time. And second, if you're going to try to mitigate that disadvantage of age and time, then you have to learn to be sneaky. You have to learn to be sneaky. You have to learn to be clever. You have to change things up. And Tyson didn't know how to do that. Now, in Tyson's favor, most fighters don't know how to do that. Most athletes don't know how to do that. And I'm going to eventually say, most people, most disciplines, whatever their discipline is, it's really hard to adapt and learn to be clever in your discipline. But there are people who have been able to do that. And I've been fortunate enough to listen to some of them or attended their seminars or just in talks with them. You have to be more clever. Use your weapons you're good at, but find sneaky, clever ways to use them. Bill Wallace said this once. You can't fight time, but the young person, he can't fight experience. And so you have to learn to use I'm paraphrasing Bill, but you have to learn to use your experience and learn to be sneaky. Otherwise, there's no way you can win against younger, skilled fighters. Now, with all that to say, Jake Paul was in a lose-lose situation. Either he loses to Mike Tyson, and then if he does, oh, wow, he was nothing anyway. He's just an internet guy who came up in boxing. And then Tyson looks like a hero. Or if he defeats Tyson, oh, you defeated an old man past his prime. How could you? I'm hoping they both made a lot of money off of it. I want to praise Tyson for getting in there. Even though they're only 2-minute rounds, and kickboxing, that was the standard back in the 80s and 90s, by the way, until K1 came up. 2-minute rounds are hard when you're in a fight. So even though they're only 2-minute rounds, to go that many rounds at 2 minutes is difficult. Have a guy that tall hitting on you. So give Mike Tyson all the credit. Mr. Tyson, it's unbelievable he went in there and took that challenge. But it was frustrating because of the buffering just made it real frustrating. So my expectations were even getting bigger. This better be good. And second, you just can't fight Father Time. You can mitigate it, however, and by mitigation, you have to learn to be wiser, use your experience to your advantage, and learn to be sneaky and clever. And unfortunately, Tyson didn't do that. He didn't know to use and get out of his box and be clever, be sneaky, use his experience. He was ferocious, but after that third round, it's a big, you can kind of tell the difference in the third round. Oh no, things are going to change. So that was just my thoughts on this fight that happened last night. And I thought, well, let me do a quick video and post about it. So, feel free to leave your comments and what you think about the fight. Thank you so much. Have a spectacular day, Puss.